Summer's a gift. The gift of days that last a little longer. A brighter state of mind. So gift yourself a new Kia at the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. With specially tagged vehicles including the Sorrento, Sportage, Carnival, as well as the Niro Hybrid. All backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. So the gift of summer can keep on giving for summers to come. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Event ends 7/6/26. See dealer for warranty details.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to Real Estate, Real and Unscripted with Nicole Miller. Thank you guys all for joining me again. I'm excited to have you here on this show with me today. As you all know, my purpose in creating this show was to bring to both the consumer and the realtor, just everyone in general, knowledge. Knowledge is power, and ultimately a lot of the things we deal with that go wrong is because of lack of knowledge. So the purpose of this show is to have micro moments for every single type of trade or subject that affects the real estate ecosystem in one way or another. And so today we are going to be talking about plumbing. And obviously that is for homeowners, buyers, sellers, everything that, you need to really know. We're going to try to really dig into things that are pertinent right now, things that you should know in general. And so with me today, I have the co-owners of Plumbing SFL, Damian Geloso and Jose Caamano. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you for having
us. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourselves, whichever one of you want to start first, and what brought you into this world, in this space, and what do you guys pride yourself with your company to do differently? Everything with me is about elevating and changing the spaces we're in to make them better.
I guess I'll start. So, my name's Jose Caamano. I've been a plumber probably about 12 years now. I got brought into it by my father. I was a plumber my entire life. Growing up, I'm 30 years old now. All 30 years, he was a plumber. That's all he's ever done. So I took after him when I was about 18 years old. We went into business together. I ended up getting my license young, at like 24, 25 years old. Damian got his license at the same time as me. That's when we decided to join forces, sign the paperwork, and start Plumbing SFL.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, I started out doing electric actually at 18 years old, fresh out of high school. And then through my electrical experience, ended at a company that does plumbing, AC, and electric. Saw the opportunity with plumbing, started doing a little bit of plumbing, left that company, stopped doing electric, and just went all for plumbing. And then knowing Jose here, partnered up with him, got the plumbing license, got the AC license, got the residential contractor license, which is basically like a GC license, but just for residential homes, no condos or anything like that. And, we've been partnered up for like 4 or 5 years now with Plumbing SFL and just been, going hard with that.
Amazing. So what would you guys say makes you different?
I mean, I like to think of Plumbing SFL as like the top-notch plumbing company where we're small yet big at the same time. Our appearance maybe look big, but we're still going to give you that mom and pop experience that everyone craves. We're not corporate in any way other than our communication and whatnot, by the book with like advancements in technology and, email invoices are completely paperless. We don't do anything with paper unless it's, something like a permit that's required to be a hard, wet signature, things of that nature. We're expanding in that way with technology, but we still want to keep the same values that my father taught me and treating every customer, like they're right. Giving them that like family feeling without pressuring them into sales and selling them things they don't need. We're very honest. We like to just go in there, provide solutions to the immediate problem, as well as point out any potential other hazards that we see while we're on site. We're not a sales company. We're an honest company that will come out there and do the right thing. We pride ourselves on basically our slogan. So people always get confused with the name Plumbing SFL. They think SFL is like SSL or something like that. It's a tongue twister a little bit.
FPL.
So
we always say, so many of them.
We always say it's like the initials of South Florida. That's the best way to put it. SFL, initials of South Florida. But it's also our slogan. So the SFL stands for show up, fix it right, and leave it clean.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking it was, okay, good. That's news to me. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. And I would say, basically, we come out there, see exactly what's going on, give you the honest opinion. We're unbiased, unopposed to, if you want to do it or not. I give people free opinions all the time. I give people more information than, probably most companies would want to offer because, possibly I tell you, you don't have to do that, or no, the other company is telling you the wrong thing. I come across so many people every single day on the phone or in person at the job that are like, well, the other company said this and they're telling me that I have to do this, or they're telling me that that's not necessary, or whatever the case may be. And, we come across so many wild things that are just, it blows my mind how 3 or 4 different companies can go out to one person's house and they get all different types of information and opinions or options on what they should or shouldn't be doing for even the most simplest tasks.
Well, I'll expand on that. Yeah. Like, that's honestly like one of the most difficult challenges in this business. If you're going in after another contractor, for one, you don't know how much experience they have. They could have been a helper and they just got sent to show up to the job so that the company gets their foot in the door. So they just ramble on and tell the customer whatever to make them happy or to close the sale, rather than, when we appear on site, we're the owners of the company. We've been doing this. We're the master plumbers, the license holders.
The license holders.
We'll
talk about that difference.
Yeah. So it's just a little difficult coming in after this person because they already gained the client's trust in a way where they already implanted all these false facts and a false narrative in their head. And now we're coming in after them. They're like, well, the first guy told me this, this, and this. And we're basically saying, okay, that first guy was wrong. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was. And then we kind of outline the steps it's going to take to solve your problem, where that person probably didn't explain it in that manner. They more so probably use like fear and sales tactics to kind of convince this consumer that that's what they needed. And then we're trying to change their mind about it now, but really you're coming to us for our honest opinion. We're not really here to change your mind. We're here to tell you the truth. Yeah. So that's where a lot of confusion comes from.
I tell people a lot of times, like when I'm there at the home, and I don't like mean to sound arrogant when I say this to them, I just tell them, being brutally honest, like, I don't care if you choose us or go with us, or, I don't need your business. You're the one calling me with a problem. I'm here offering you a solution. I'm going to offer you the right solution, and, we're going to make sure that you're taken care of. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not here like trying to sell you something or begging for your business or anything like that. I've had multiple, back and forths with people where they want to go back and forth on the price or what the solution may be. And it's, again, I don't need the business as far as it goes. Like, I'm going to give you the right solution and I'm here to do the job for you properly. But I have 20 other people calling me for the same problem. I'm here to fix it. And we're going to do it right. I'm not begging or, here to haggle with you or sell you something that you don't need.
I got to comment on that as well. So like, people are confused when it comes to the way plumbing works. Don't get me wrong. Damian and I are master plumbers. We consider ourselves, experts in the field. We know what we're talking about. We stand behind what we say with confidence. But really, I always compare being a plumber to being a doctor. We're going into your home and we're performing surgery. So you go to a doctor, you get a diagnostic test, you get x-rays, you get MRI, you get, whatever kind of test for whatever illness you have. Plumbing is the same way. So sometimes it takes 1, 2, 3 different types of diagnostic services before we can even identify the problem. And that's where most of the confusion comes from. People are like, oh, well, why can't you just do this? Why can't you just do that? Because that's not the way we could figure out the problem. Like, we don't have x-ray vision. We can't, see through walls. We can't see through floors. Sometimes we can't be 100% confident in the issue you're having. We only know through experience. Mm-hmm. So, I tell people, we could be right, we could be wrong, but we don't know until we open that wall, until we put a sewer camera down your drain, until we pull the toilet. And, unfortunately, that is a service and a time that you have to pay for. It's a necessary evil to get to the root solution of your problem and solve it for once and for all. Because we don't like putting Band-Aids on problems, because then, a long time ago, someone told us, once you touch it, you marry it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do something and it's, the client maybe has a budget issue.
It just leaves them upset with you.
At the end of the day, I'm going to come here, I'm going to touch it. Sure, I might have fixed it for now and you only wanted to pay $200, $300, $400, $500 instead of addressing it the right way. But then you're going to be mad at me later and you're going to be upset and be like, oh, Plumbing SFL, they didn't fix it the right way.
We have a perfect little story for this. We just got an email. I helped someone out with their water heater. They said it was rusting. It's 2 years old. It's already out of our labor warranty, but it's still under ream warranty. I didn't notice any leaks, anything. It's in the laundry room. So I said, okay, maybe the humidity and the moisture, is like a little screw that was rusted on it. Mm-hmm. So I coated it with some appliance paint, stop the corrosion so it doesn't spread any further. A couple days go by, maybe even a week or two, and we get another message from this client, and they go, oh, you were just here and all you did was paint it, and now this copper pipe is leaking on top of my unit. And I go, okay, well, we did what we could. We took a look at it. The day we were there, that pipe was not leaking. You didn't bring it to my attention. I didn't see it leaking. We didn't
even do anything there.
We did a thorough evaluation. We installed the heater 2 years ago, but we didn't touch any of that. It was an original part. I couldn't even see what it really was because the picture they showed was too close up. But I did see a drip of water. So obviously there's something going on. So, okay, we'll revisit you. This was a free...
Everything was free.
This was all free. There was no charge or anything. But just the way they approached it was almost blaming us for their situation when, they need to take accountability for that. Their home is getting older. Things start to break, whether we touch it or not. That goes back to like what we were just saying about once you touch it, you marry it. So even though it's something that's 2 feet away from the product we installed, now the blame gets put on us and the client is not happy with us. When if at the time of service, we would have upcharged them and been like, okay, we got to change all the pipes leading this way over there. Then they wouldn't have want to pay, the thousands of dollars it costs to do that. So it's always a battle. It's good and bad. You can only do so much and make everybody so happy, but that's what we pride ourselves on, is keeping everybody happy. The customer's always right at the end of the day.
I appreciate that. So, I think that kind of goes back to, like you were saying about, we're the license holders. So oftentimes in this trade, as well as other trades, everyone's got a guy is a handyman. They're doing electrical, they're doing plumbing. Sometimes you do have people who have been doing it for years and they don't have their license and they're working under a qualifier and they know their shit, right? And sometimes you don't. And so I think what's important with what's out there and what I've dealt with myself is when you have the owners who are also the license holders, who are the ones who are pulling the permits, your name is with that city. You're accountable to it. When you're working with somebody who's Joe's plumbing, truck, and he doesn't have that overhead, he doesn't have the licensing, the insurance,
it's not comparable.
All that stuff, and you want to know why he's installing a water heater for like pennies,
Yeah, of course.
And there's a lot that comes with that. And so I tell people, when in the last show that we had recorded was about permits and fixing things after the fact.
Okay.
And what ends up happening. And so if you're not hiring the right people in the beginning, you're going to have things that come up later. And if it's not done right in the beginning, it's always going to come back. Like stuff comes back. And you deal with plumbing. If that's not done right, like shit can go wrong. Right?
Absolutely.
Literally.
We know that.
Well, I say, fix it right or pay twice.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I've seen it on a permitted one, or let's say non-permitted, permitted, multiple times with people where they'll do a shower and don't get the proper inspections or whatever the case may be. And cities have been more lenient now. I've come across a lot of cities that'll deal with you and deal with maybe, let's say,
they don't really fine you or like really. It's like a slap on the wrist.
It depends on the situation.
It depends on
how you go about it.
Permit. If you're caught midway, you're going to get fined daily. But if it's like something like you remodeled your bathroom, no permits, and then, now you're having an issue and now you have to bring in a licensed plumber.
You're opening it up. You're not necessarily,
right.
It depends on the city.
They break, they say, okay, have a licensed plumber go in there and inspect it and sign off.
Right. Like I said, a lot of times, if you have the proper solution for them and you tell them like, listen, all right, this guy did this. I have an example in Hollandale. This guy did the whole bathroom. For whatever reason, they pulled a permit, but then never did any of the inspection. So then the bathroom was done. So what was the point of pulling the permit if you're not even going to get it inspected? So the bathroom was done. We did the change of contractor. And I told the client from the beginning, I don't know what the city's going to come in here and say. I don't know if they're going to tell you got to rip out the shower. I was like, I have an idea. We can cut open the wall here. If they want us to, we could cut open the ceiling below and we'll see what they say. I met with the inspector out there. I explained everything to him. And he was just like, no, open the wall here. Let me take a look. Do this test. I won't make you rip the whole shower out if everything's good. Unfortunately for the client, the shower pan was no good. So he had to rip it all out anyways, but not because the city forced him to. And a lot of times if you do the, let's say a tub to shower conversion in a condo or even in a home and you don't get the underground inspected, they could very well make you rip out the whole entire shower, or at least the bottom half, which most people aren't going to want to do that. They're going to want to rip out the whole thing.
It's a risky gamble for sure.
It's not even worth it, especially in a condo. It's never worth it.
In a condo.
In a condo, you're really playing with fire, especially with HOA and neighbors and things of that nature. Like you have millions of dollars underneath you, to the side of you,
Yeah, 100%.
It's never worth it.
So what are you guys seeing right now is like you're saying permit issues? What are stuff, what's problems going on?
We excel in that and fixing those problems, especially Damian here.
Yeah. I mean, the permitting issues, I'm just seeing a lot of, people calling after the fact with, either never pulled a permit for the project, or I get a lot of calls of people getting scammed by contractors, and I don't understand like how it happens. Like people, contractor will take a deposit, do half the job, and disappear into thin air. Never hear back from them and stuff like that. Or,
well, it usually goes with the too good to be true price.
of course,
You know, let's say you get 3 prices. One is $5,000, one is $8,000, another one's $11,000. The $5,000 one, you know, sounds good, but why is it so low?
Yeah.
You know, and what do they want? They want 75% up front. So people usually just look at that number.
paying cash or something like that.
So,
you know,
it's a gamble. Like, oh, do I want to pay $8,000, $11,000, or this guy $5,000? You know, it's like the devil and the angel on your shoulder. It's like, do it. And then so you give this guy $4,000, and guess what? He disappears. Now you have the $8,000 and $11,000 guy, but now you're short $4,000. So now you're trying to beat us up on our profit and our costs to make up that money that you lost by trusting the wrong person, when you could have just went with the right licensed contractor from the beginning and got it done right with permits and everything, and a healthy deposit. You know, asking for that much up front is a red flag alone, especially cash.
No, it happens.
Especially
it happens
in
a lot.
cash.
It happens.
Especially in cash.
It happens a lot. You know, like I had a file where the buyers were buying, and we got negotiated the electrical panel, and the seller got a price for this panel.
$1,200.
Yeah, it was like but it was like the inside and the outside. It was like the main and it was like $1,500.
Insane.
And they were like whoop-de-doo. And I'm like, this is bullshit.
That's
like that.
material
No.
costs.
I'm like, I don't know where that panel fell off the back of a truck, because that's literally like, and so, you know, the agent was like, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, well, I know how much this stuff costs. And this is not, and the guy, you know, he wasn't actually the licensed one. He was going to pull, so we asked him questions.
Pull a permit.
Yeah, we asked him questions, and you know, ultimately he didn't really answer. And then I told the agent, I was like, "You see what I'm saying?" Like, and then you know, like our electrician that we work with, Dustin, came in and he gave a price, and it was reasonable, but it was not $1,200, $1,500 bucks.
Yeah, of course.
And then the seller was like, "Well, that doesn't make sense. This guy was able to do it," and I'm like, no. And so he finally like came to, because he got some other quotes, and like to do it right, to do it with permits. I mean, like you got to have
he was
a
able
PL
to do it, just not the right way.
Yeah. And so the problem becomes is if you're now chasing down that person that is not the license holder, like I had,
you have no recourse.
You have no recourse. So, you know, at the end of the day, your licenses are the ones that are signing for that permit. The guy who's got the qualifying, unless, you know, some people are solid, they do good business, but ultimately that person doesn't have any kind of, you know, you can't go after them.
I mean, I have one right now, for example. A kid called me up, needed help with the project that he was doing, wanted us to help him, you know, guide him through the project, and then also help with the permitting side of it. He was going to do the plumbing, this and that. I don't know what happened with this kid, but his client's calling me, hey, you know, kid disappeared. We're out the money. You know, have you heard anything from him? I said, I haven't heard him. I was like, I'm glad I didn't sign anything with you guys yet, because, you know, I wasn't sure how this was going to play out, and I didn't get, you know, speak to all parties, the GC, the homeowner, and the kid who was going to do the work. And they've been calling and texting me like, hey, you know, we're out this money. We already got another plumber to do the work, but, you know, we can't find, you know, this kid's not answering, and, you know, none of the calls or none of the messages are going through. And I said, you know, listen, I don't know what to tell you. You know, that's between you and him. I have nothing to do with it. I was only just going to help you, you know, move your project along and help you guys out with the permitting process. Yeah. So, I mean, this stuff happens every day. And like,
that's
it's
a
crazy.
risk and liability.
And that is, it's a huge liability. You know, it's a huge liability for that, but there's a,
Well, that goes back to vouching, you know, licensed and insured contractors. You know, you look us up, you look up Corley, you look up anybody else. We have a track record. Yeah. Where are we going to go? We're going to take your money and disappear?
No,
she's
in
office. Reviews are big as well.
Well, yeah.
Reviews are big as well. I pride myself on my reviews. Mm-hmm. My reviews are now letting AI tell people that I'm their best option.
There you go.
Literally.
Exactly. Yeah.
People will say, I pulled you up and AI told me to call you because my reviews and the footprint that they have and what people are saying. Like I'll get people who want to sell their mother's condo who passed away.
Mm-hmm. So you have your reviews are on Google? Like you have
I have Google. I have
like a
Zillow.
Google My Business page?
I have a Google page. I've got like 80 on Google. I've got almost 300, like 280 on Zillow. So Yelp is weird.
Sources.
Yelp never.
So what for Google My Business? Like they have a realtor, like.
Well, no, now Google has Gemini, which is Google's AI system.
No,
but I'm saying
Google's AI.
I'm just saying like GMB.
Like you go,
like chat or something.
2 people I've worked with this year alone had reached out and spoke to Chat GPT.
Okay.
And they basically were given top agents that met their criteria.
Because they scam.
And they gave them a script of an email of what to send me.
Sure,
and when I got that email, I'm like, yo, this is definitely AI because nobody, and they were solid questions too.
Right.
I'm like, who the heck knows to ask this? This is solid. And it was very it was long too. Yeah. But, that's important, having the reviews, looking out. And one other thing I'll tell people out there too, and I've said this on previous episodes, you want to pull up DBPR and look at the licensing. You want to pull up the Sunbiz and look at the ownership. Yep. You want to pull up the names of the owners active. You want to make sure that the names of the owners are the people that are the licensed one, and depending on where. And you want to pull up your name in lawsuits. You want to look at Broward, Palm Beach County, Miami. You want to look at the public records and see what these people have if they're in the middle of a lawsuit with somebody, and you read things and you can kind of see, okay, this guy is minimum. And there's so many of them right now, even in Palm Beach County a few weeks ago, I don't know what it was on Facebook. I was getting so many help me Howards, suing contractors. Kitchen renovation. This guy took my deposit.
Again, when we deal with people that are needing us to clean up permits or just even to clean up the job and come finish the job for them, and then they show us the contract that they got from somebody else, and it's just like a Word document. It's the most laughable. Basic thing ever. It's literally laughable. Right. And it's you gave this guy how much money? And they're like, oh, I've paid him, 10, 20, 30, 40 grand already. And they've only done $5,000 worth of work or $20,000 worth of work. And it's how do you feel comfortable stroking a check for 10, 15, 20 grand to somebody? This is the contract. This is your agreement. You haven't done any.
Because his quote was 40% less than the last.
Everything that glitters is in gold.
Right. Or because your friend said, oh, I used them and it was everything went great and everything went smooth. And we
run into that a lot. And then it's funny because we're stand-up gentlemen. Our company has a reputation. I always just say Google us. Just Google us. Right. Google's going to tell you everything you need to know. But then they have a problem writing us the checks to us to fix their problems. They want to hold back because they got burned by this other person. But it's how can you get burned by this person who has just, like he said, a napkin estimate to you, and you're writing this guy thousands of dollars, but then when we're coming in at a reasonable price to fix all the issues as well as solve everything so you could live in your home again or whatever the case may be, and then you kind of want to hold back from us or take from us the person trying to help you rather than go for this person down.
It's hard because unfortunately you have a lot, people get burned, and I think that's why I'm doing stuff like this.
They don't see all the credentials, they don't compare none of that. They just see you as a person.
When someone screwed you, it's you've been hurt. You're hurt. You're you're challenged. You're oh my God, how was I so dumb or whatever? But it's that's the whole purpose of why I'm doing the show, is to just put that power in people's hands to know what they need to do. You don't realize you can search things. You don't realize that you literally hired someone who's in the middle of a lawsuit for the same freaking thing.
Or something, or some kind of court case where they're going to go to jail midway through, or
this guy got your $5,000 deposit. He's at the Hard Rock.
Back to the AI thing. I think AI is the new word of mouth. Mm-hmm. Before it was, no phones, no this, no that. Oh, who do you have? Who do you have? Now it's AI.
You could do a simple search and figure out everything you need to know.
I don't know, haven't done it yet. Plumbing SFL. Had any negative reviews? No, they have not. Their reviews are typically positive. So you can use that to really make, a difference. And also you can use it to do some due diligence as well. If, you have to ask the professionals and stuff, but there's a lot of things too. Hey, I'm looking at this and there's something wrong. I've had people that have said that they've diagnosed issues with AI.
Absolutely. 100%.
But you want to, you definitely want to taper that with the actual human. Yeah. So if somebody were let's back into buyers. So buyers are buying a home. They do an inspection. What are some of the things that you guys want to have buyers keep in mind from a plumbing lens that they should be aware of, be diligent about, know about, be cognizant? Maybe it's buying, inspecting, owning, everything along the way.
I mean, when it comes to buying and inspecting, I think every inspection should include a sewer camera.
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
100%. A lot of inspection companies offer it now. They have their own sewer cameras.
But
they'll do it part of their inspection.
It's been oh, how old is the house? Cast iron. Mm-hmm. So
but
guys out there, it's not only cast iron. Mm-hmm. It's not. I had a buyer who made an offer on a property on the Intercoastal in Hollywood. The seller was highly overpriced, and we revisited it every few months, and the seller was still chilling at their highly overpriced price. And then almost a year, literally, we circled back. It was still up there. They accepted our price. And then the agent said, hey, heads up, I got to tell you what happened over the last, I don't know, however long, right?
Sewer line collapsed.
No. So it was built in 90 and change, 95. It had PVC. The garage, basically the tenant that was living there flushed the toilet. The toilet backed up flooded like the ground floor because it wouldn't stop. And I guess whatever ended up happening, they did a sewer scope. This is an interesting story. They did a sewer scope. They did the sewer scope from like the top of the stack, which was in the laundry room on the 3rd floor townhouse. Found that there was it broke under the garage. The PVC drain pipe broke, and it was like, so it got stuck. So the toilet paper was stuck. Right, this was PVC, and it broke. And
it happens all the time.
And ultimately, funny. I mean, it was funny, but not funny. The people who did the sewer scope forgot to put the drain pipe of the washing machine back in the drain.
Flooded the 3rd floor.
And then when the tenants ended up doing laundry the next day,
hate to see it.
That was crazy. Yeah. So that was, that
Mistakes
transpired.
happen. We're not perfect.
That opened up our lens and my lens to like, hey, it's not just it's not just the cast iron. You want to look at it from every standpoint. You have trees, you have settlement.
You have trees, you have rocks.
That's on the bigger scope of things. When purchasing a home, I would say that's going to be anything with the sewer is going to be your most expensive, bill for if you buy a home and you have to do anything with the sewer. If you got to rerun a new sewer main or if you got to do anything under the house, that stuff gets so expensive so quickly.
Investment, yeah, for
biggest
sure.
investment.
When buying, selling, any of that, and then, it's often neglected,
super neglected.
Even when building new construction homes, I think it's neglected. Like plumbing should really be, not to knock any other trade. We have the construction company that does it all, but plumbing is your bones. Think of a house as a human body. The plumbing is the bones, the structure of the home. Without solid plumbing, with solid plumbing, the home's going to last 100 years with no issues. But without solid plumbing, everything's going to crumble. It's a safety hazard as well.
But I would say on the smaller scale of things, the easiest things that they can look at themselves or that the home inspector is going to look at, obviously the water heater. Average life expectancy in Florida is 10 years. That's all you're going to get out of them nowadays. The older ones that were early 2000s, 90s, they're still going. But anything after 2010, it ain't lasting more than 10 years anymore.
Yeah.
Main valve, you want to have a good quarter turn shut-off ball valve, no gate valve. And then
main valve. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to talk about that.
It's a simple thing. You need to be able to shut your water off.
Super overlooked. No, I'm going to point that out because I bring that up. Yeah. So people out there, he said something real quick and he used words, right? So gate valve is the one that looks like a flower, right?
Circle. A wheel.
And the circle, it's a wheel.
It spins multiple times.
That spins and spins until it closes and the water doesn't come out anymore. But those have corroded from within, and the valve mechanism that closes the water over all these years ends up when you go to close your valve when you need to because you're having a flood, it's not working. So you need to know where your main shutoff is, and if it is not an updated ball valve, which is like a lever that goes in a perpendicular, kind of
90 degrees, simple turn.
That's sorry.
It's huge. No. And then just the water, obviously the water heater is a main one, the main valve, so that in the event of emergency, if you need to shut your water off, like you said, you need to know where it is. And then also you need to know, is this even going to work? I tell everybody if they have a gate valve and they're not changing it or they didn't change it or they're going to use it, I always use it with just literally four fingers this. No force. Like literally only the strength of your wrist and just barely turn it because all a gate valve is. You don't. Yeah, a gate valve is like a garage door. It just comes down like this.
Yeah.
And it's it's just a screw with a piece of rubber at the end of it. So think about how many times that gets turned on and off. Probably never. And that screw, the water quality down here is horrible. Nobody has water filtration. That's another huge thing. Everybody should have a water filter. Nobody does. But the screw gets corroded and people go in there and they start cranking this thing down with a big pair of channel locks or something. And they feel it. I tell everybody, just turn it with your wrist. You'll feel it seat. You don't need to turn it anymore. Once you feel it, that it won't go anymore, that's it. Don't force it. Don't push it past that. And people go in there and crank it. You snap the screw, you broke. Now it's either stuck halfway shut.
Or broken and leaking.
Broken.
In a condo.
Right. And then you can't shut the water off. Yeah. And then if it's in a condo, it's a complete disaster.
It's a liability for us as well. To service your home, it's required.
It's always, and it's always going to be that. It's always going to be Friday night at 11
o'clock at night. I'm like,
it's always going to be that.
This happened to the tenant.
But, and then also all the individual shutoff valves for.
I was just about to say that.
Because those are simple things. These are all the water heater, the main valve, and all the shutoff valves in the home. If you're going in and buying a home, just go through and do all of those things. buying a home is going to be the biggest investment for anybody in their life. And then also, that's such a small thing. You could probably get all of those things done in a standard home for $2,500 to $3,000, probably all of it.
And if you're buying a house that, first off, inspectors don't touch those valves.
No, they just
Heads
look
up,
at it, snap a
buyers.
picture.
They actually have in their inspection report a
Not allowed to
disclosure
touch it.
that says we did not turn these things
Right.
because they fail and they don't want to be the one who touched the valve that was the shutoff that hasn't been touched in 18 years, that when he opens it now is leaking. So heads up, buyers, the inspector does not touch those. And if yours does, God bless. I haven't found one. So keep in mind, you're going to get that inspection report and then you're going to go about your merry day and you're going to buy the house. You're going to close on it. And then you're going to have a leak in your kitchen after you spent years of telling buyers to change their valves like me.
Yeah. And I tell everybody with the home inspection, like the home inspection is for insurance, so to speak, so that the insurance company has a third party to say, okay, this guy looked at it. They said it's okay. You don't have to do this, or you only have to do this, and we'll insure it.
It's basically just risk assessment.
You need to pay a plumber. You need to pay an electrician. You need to pay an AC guy, and maybe even somebody else to come through and look at the specialized stuff and give you an actual inspection. Because the home inspector, yes, they have check boxes and a list of everything that they touch, but again, they're not plumbers, they're not electricians, they're not an AC guy.
Sometimes they'll give you information that's way not correct or like exacerbated. Yeah. And they'll tell you something is not done right. And I've like hit you up and they're like dusting up and be like, no, not necessarily. Let me look at that. Right? So like they'll cause, so it depends. But I think the specialized trades at the very least with like the stuff that can blow your house up or flood it, that needs to be.
I mean, AC is very basic as far as it goes. Plumbing and electric, you have a lot of components in the home. And again, for at the time of when you're making the biggest investment of your life, what's a plumber and what's an electrician going to charge you to come and do a basic inspection? It's not going to be thousands of dollars.
Back to my great idea, we should just partner up Plumbing SFL times Nicole and just have, a buyer special. And it's just a complete package. Water heater, this, that, valve.
There's some appliance people that I've seen over the years that have done so one other thing that comes up now, washing machine hoses. That's plumbing related, right? So washing machine, I've done everything, guys, out there. So everything comes to my mind. Washing machine hoses. So the rubber ones, horrible. No bueno.
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel. So there's an appliance repair company I know over the years that has done that. They used to have like a special, like it was like a closing gift. Right here, we're going to replace your things. Because if you don't do that, you have to look at all that. And like Damian's saying, that the cost of what you are doing to do it right, like to inspect it and then fix it to do it right, is going to be far less.
You're spending pennies to save thousands.
Yeah.
You're buying $300, $400 million home.
Just for let's tie it into what you're saying. Vanity faucet supply line goes bad.
I was going to bring up the ice lines on the refrigerators.
Ice line on the refrigerators. Ice line on the refrigerators. It's a huge one. It's a huge one. Because it was the poly one.
Yeah. Okay, so
but the toilet's good too. The metal.
12 years ago or 10 years ago, before I was really involved in this, I had the handyman of sorts. So this is from my experience, guys. Like I'm coming to you with stories that I lived, okay? Yeah. I had a handyman of sorts, changed out the line to the refrigerator, water. I am selling the house for my family member. This is in the beginning. I get a call from the neighbor at like 6 o'clock in the morning that there is water coming out the front door of this duplex in her kitchen because there was no firewall. And that shit ruptured. And let me tell you what they did. So there was a copper fitting with a plastic pipe.
Yep.
And the copper expands and the pipe, right? What happened? So they were not matched.
Yeah, well, so it's metal and plastic on that.
Right, so it cracked and it was not done right. Yeah. Whereas if someone who did it right wouldn't have, and that was a shit show.
Yeah, that's one of the circumstances we run into where you use the copper, the brass ferrule, the compression nut on a plastic line, it'll eventually cut into it and just rupture and break. That's
what happened.
It's like taking a popsicle stick and just snapping it over time. But another one is that these appliance companies I don't want to put the blame on anyone, but they use just an inferior material. I don't even know what to call it. It's like vinyl. It's like if you have like a clear pipe behind your fridge and it just feels kind of brittle, that's the wrong pipe. You need to have either, PEX pipe, which is going to be gray, or, a braided stainless steel into an actual code ice maker box with an actual shut off behind the fridge. That's the way we do it now.
Yeah.
You know, any new kitchen under a permit has to have a hammer arrestor with a valve, and then you have a stainless steel braided or maybe even a copper line to the fridge. But these people have these clear lines, and they just snap. It's like this straw right here. You snap it like that, and the side just blows out, and you have that with, you know, whatever 60 psi's water just every
And
day.
it's so frustrating because it's not like it's a huge amount of material, right?
It's
so like
the cheapest thing in the world.
But it's not like you're using 800 feet of it, right? So how much more does that cost when you're really looking at like the
honestly,
net?
most of the stuff that you come across that is, you know, ends up being, you know, one of these bigger issues. It's always the smallest, stupidest things. It's not that, you know, it's never, it's always the dumbest things. Like the guy left the washing machine hose off after doing the camera inspection, or, you know, didn't connect something back, or just used the one wrong fitting or the one wrong hose.
Or, you know, another big one now is all the smart faucets. People leave them on. They have cats or animals or anything. The sensors can go bad. It's electronics, and it just runs and runs and runs and runs, you know?
Right.
Cats love playing with those things. If you have a cat and a censored faucet, they don't go well together.
Yeah. Well, speaking about pipes that snap and crack and break, what's up with poly? And are you doing a lot of repipes? Are you seeing?
Yeah. I mean, I would poly not necessarily going to snap or crack, more CPVC. And I think that's a whole nother subject. But for the poly, I mean, it's slowed down a little bit as far as how much we've been coming across it, but you always come across it. And I mean, poly is honestly not as much of a nightmare for a plumber as CPVC is. But as far as the poly goes, anytime you come across it, all of it's got to go. You know.
So when you're doing an inspection as a buyer, and I'll put this out there, 3 or 4 years ago, I had about 3 sellers all at the same time, 2 in one community, another in another community. They bought these properties and I knew because I sold in those communities previously. And that's where also working with an agent that's aware of things. Boca Gardens in Boca and Cachet in Coral Springs. They were built with poly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were built with poly, and I had 2 sellers on one and one on the other. And they did, I did my little inspection when I do my listing appointment, and I look for certain things. Like I've sent you pictures like, yo, and you're like, and I'm like, I'm just making sure I'm not right. It's gray. It has poly pipe is gray piping that was created in the late 80s, early 90s. And it was kind of touted as being like the new thing, and it was cheaper. And the way that it breaks is from the joints and the corrosion
It's not
of
necessarily-
the inside,
The
the
pipe
fittings.
itself is not that inferior. I mean, it does get brittle and things over time, just like CPVC does, but it's usually the fittings. Just
The
like
fittings
CPVC.
that break.
CPVC is brittle because of the adhesive you have to use. So if you don't wipe your joints and they just leave it all globbed on there over time, it eats away at it, and then it's like taking a stick and
Just the pipe
peeling it
itself.
away.
Yeah.
All of it.
No
It just
glue.
gets
I don't
brittle.
like CPVC surrounded. I don't like it.
It's scary
I've
to touch because
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, you look at it the wrong way, it's going to break on you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of like a ticking time bomb, right? So
It's honestly, the CPVC is more scary to me because simplest thing, you go to shut off the toilet supply line because you're going to do anything with the toilet, or the valve under the sink because you're going to change the faucet, or homeowners touching it. They go to touch the valve. Let's say the valve is the old one. It's a little stiff.
If
It's going to snap
pressure.
on you. CPVC is going to snap every time.
But, you know, insurance kind of turns a blind eye to CPVC, in my opinion.
That's
they,
not- well,
they
that's
just,
the
they just
thing.
focus on the
Poly-
poly.
yeah,
Focus
like
on
with
poly.
Yeah, poly is the only one that's like you have to change it.
Yeah.
They just
But
won't insure
CPVC,
you.
I warn people all the time. I'm like, just don't even touch it. You know, it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what it is? CPVC, you know, breaks when you touch it. Insurance is like, okay, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Poly snaps in the ceiling on a Friday at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
It also has to do with the rings too, because they have same thing with PEX now. PEX Type B and Poly, like PEX is obviously like the newer version of Poly.
I feel the
But
same way.
PEX Type A is expansion PEX. That's the PEX that all professionals should be using. PEX Type B is more so for
It's like an upgraded poly.
Upgraded
it's like
poly. That's what I
It's the
thought.
same
They
type
have
of
two
rings
different
and
rings.
things.
So
That's
same
what
thing
I
with
was
Poly.
thinking.
Yeah.
Poly has one like solid copper ring. Same thing with PEX B, and then they have another style ring, which is a 2-piece ring that. So you have the copper ring. You use like a heavy duty crimper. That's the better way, and then you have the 2-piece ring where it's just like one little piece where you grab onto it and you just crimp it and you're squeezing the 2 rings together.
Mhm.
The 2-piece ring over time just snaps,
Yeah.
and then the ring completely comes off.
Yeah.
Same thing with PEX Type B. People use that stuff all the time. Those are the worst type of things that you could use is those 2-piece rings. And that's what always failed with the poly fittings and the rings.
Quick question. So these sellers that I had, they had the poly. Their inspection reports, which I pulled up from years prior, they had them, all said copper and PVC.
Because
what? Oh, no. Hey, I'll tell you. One of them was black and white. That stuff was coming out of the kitchen, like literally underneath. You could see it. There was no missing it. Okay. The other one, they had done work and they just fixed it on the front end. Mm-hmm. But when the inspector for the buyer went in the attic, all the lines were still active and all the drop lines were all still there and they were all poly. Yeah. So
they stub out in copper because you can't stub out in poly. It's not strong enough. It'll just be dangling, sitting there, So almost all of the stub outs, it should be 100% of them, where the inspector is only going to go through, look under your vanity or look at the toilet. It's always going to be copper coming out of the wall.
Right.
You may need to make a small hole, maybe stick a little.
Some inspectors will use a borescope.
Yeah, use a little borescope and they stick it in there and they see, okay, it's just a stub out and the rest of it in the wall is poly. That's the correct way to do it if you're going to do the inspection. Because, any house with poly, go look under the sinks, go look at the toilet, go look at any stub outs where pipes are coming out of the wall. It's going to be copper.
Yeah.
I've
usually I'll have them where because technically if they're done right, like the pipe should be affixed to something.
Firm.
It should be firm. So if I'm taking that, I've had them where I'm like literally it's jiggling. It feels like Gumby's on the other side of the wall.
If you go to copper and copper's like this, it's not copper.
And they basically had those inspections. The inspectors were kind of chummy with the agents. Is how it was described. And they were like buddies. And next thing you know, the pictures though, funny enough, on the report were like, when you looked at them, I'm like, that's gray. But they wrote that it was copper and PVC and it wasn't. So,
Again, that's why it goes back to great. You got the home inspector or the seller's inspector, which I would never go with the seller's inspector, but pay the professional, pay the plumber, pay the electrician, pay the AC guy. Let them do their own thing because they're going to know more and they're going to know what to look for better than the home inspector is. The home inspector is doing it quick. He's looking at the windows, doors, this, that, roof.
Not only that, you have a solution for them as well.
Right.
This is your problem. We can fix it.
Well, they'll give you, they won't give you the solution. They won't give you the cost. Sometimes they will, and then they'll give an AI,
crazy range that's
type of thing.
If you call the professional,
right?
If you call a professional plumber, professional, HVAC guy, professional anything.
Yeah, obviously anybody who goes out there that's their service is they're going to tell you it's this and it's going to be $1 million to fix it or it's going to be $100. You know what I mean?
Right.
Speak to parts and supplies and fixtures. So, you have these companies like the Moens, the Deltas, and then you have like the Amazon faucet from wherever that's a quarter of the price. Mm-hmm. What becomes a consideration when you're using those type of fixtures? I know that I had been educated on that as well. Right. Like what's
good luck finding the parts. Most of that stuff is like a one and done type of thing. You're going to buy it and there's going to be, let's say, 10 different listings for the same item, all different manufacturers, so to speak, or different companies that are just rebranding the same thing. But the support for it and finding the parts for it is good luck. Like Moen is forever. Right. Moen stands behind all of their stuff. Moen will send you parts for free. If they can't fix it with the parts that they send you, they'll send you a whole new fixture.
The way I see it is if it's like something like a faucet, okay, you like the style of it, they're cool, they're cheaper. It's a very serviceable item. Don't get me wrong, the workmanship there, the quality's not there. It could bust on you. It could cause a flood. That's the risk you're gambling with to save a couple bucks.
That's all on you. I'll install it. That's all on you.
But it's easily changeable. Yeah. Now, something like a shower valve that's going in the wall that you're spending thousands upon thousands of dollars on to make your dream bathroom, your dream laundry room, whatever, that's not something that's serviceable. You change that once, twice in the home's lifetime.
Yeah.
Right.
2 or 3 years later, you have a small drip come from it. This Chinese company or Amazon or whatever you want to call it disappeared, or they're under a different brand. Or I've even seen where it's the same listing. You go on your Amazon records 3 years ago, you contact them, and they changed the design. So the little gasket behind there is a completely different shape. So they don't support it anymore.
Right.
They just lose support for any item. So now you have to either spend thousands of dollars to remodel again or come up with another solution to put.
Or like you're changing the valve, right? So now you have to change the valve, but your hole that the guy did when he originally installed it is this big.
Yeah.
So now you're taking the escutcheon plate from Home Depot that's ovular and ugly so that you can get some space to possibly go inside.
Moen makes a nice one.
Yeah.
They have the best ones, and they come in different finishes and whatnot.
Right, they have different finishes, and it's not like the one from Home Depot is going to be the big ugly plate with another plate on top of it, to make it work.
Definitely not what you want in your brand.
I would say,
bathroom.
The problem is that everybody wants. Obviously you see nowadays everybody's doing like the gold or the brush gold or the polished brass or whatever you want to call it, the gold finish of the fixtures. And that stuff is super expensive. If you're going to buy that from Moen or American Standard or any one of those companies, just the trim for a shower is going to cost you $700-800 more. A shower head could be $1,000 for a brush gold finish or something like that, depending on.
But let me tell you, that $1,000 shower head's going to have probably a lifetime warranty. That's finish comes
100%.
off.
Right.
You're going to have support for the life of the home, the life of the product.
Right. The Amazon one, you're not. And it's the fixture's not going to last long. And then, the actual shower valve itself is never going to be able to get the parts. So it's going to be, you install this, the cartridge goes bad in like a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on however long. And then now you can't just go swap out the cartridge for $250 like a Moen. Now you got to pay $1,000, $2,000 to change the whole entire valve.
Just to troubleshoot. Right. Just for me to spend time finding this part for you, coming to change it, trying this, trying that. And now you're in.
It's a disaster with those parts.
Yeah, we try to convince everyone not to do those anymore. The faucets and stuff, cool. The cool little gadgets. Okay, it's on the countertop. We could come anytime and replace it for you. But it's going in the wall, tiles going over it. It's going to be there for a long time. Don't even risk it.
Yeah. So question about just old school plumbing type of things versus what's happening now. So you have ProPress, then you have sweating. Like what's the difference? What type of new technologies exist that were, so what's better? What's where do you have opinions?
Everything is, basically now moving towards expansion packs and ProPress.
So what is ProPress?
So ProPress is, basically, it's a mechanical crimp, as opposed to, I'm assuming they'll call it a weld as well, because sweat fittings, you can unsweat them, reuse them, clean them up, put them back on, and easily swap out those parts. ProPress is forever. You got to cut that out and it can't be reused. If you put that in.
One and done. You
crimp that in, you got to take it out. You're using a hydraulic press tool.
That's just squeezing the heck out of it.
Squeeze the life out of it, basically. And there's a gasket in there, that's sealing it, but you're basically pressing two pieces of metals together that, is never going to come undone. And as far as like welding goes, you can just barely touch it. The weld may look good and you go to sweat it on, and then 5 minutes later, an hour later, 2 days later, it could break on you, Some condo buildings that we work in won't even allow you to use sweat or weld anymore. Everything has to be ProPress.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of condo buildings are getting very strict about that they won't allow any sweat joints or anything like that. They'll only allow ProPress.
It comes down to the fire hazard. People set off, the smoke alarms, fire alarms, or the sprinkler system, and they flood out the building because
I've worked at a company before where the guy burned down a house sweating a shower valve in because the old brown insulation in the wall caught fire and the whole house burned down.
Yep. Sometimes you don't even notice it. You
don't even know.
Yeah.
I had a scare one time. I was sweating in a shower valve in like a $5 million home in Los Olas, and I saw a little smoke start coming out of the wall.
You gotta start ripping that drywall.
No, I walked downstairs like very calmly, and then I was like, do you have a spray bottle? And then the lady's like, yeah, and she's like taking her time looking for it. I'm like, hurry up, please, because I don't want the house to burn down. Nothing happened, but obviously it's scary. You don't know what's going on, and obviously this is like the most expensive home that you could ruin, probably. But any new home being built is going to be all expansion packs. It's the cheapest for a builder and then the easiest for everybody to work with. And
it's easy to do like the repipes with poly as well.
Yeah,
so now you're threading it through as opposed to like cutting a hole.
You can't even do it with copper. Like it's almost impossible to do it with copper.
And you can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can't afford it. And it's going to be a million fittings. With PEX, in a repipe scenario, you can run the line. And the way that we'll do it is we'll have one point in the attic where everything will go to that point. and you only have connections there, and then the only other connection will be at the termination point at the end of the run. So there's nothing in the wall.
So there's less fittings. There's less risk of things that can.
You only have 2 spots where you could have a leak.
That's it.
Literally, unless like a rodent or something chewed through the pipe, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, but there's only, if that's going to go from the garage and let's say that goes to the kitchen sink, it's only at that garage point where we set it up and at the kitchen sink. There's no other fittings, there's no other points. There's nothing that, can go bad because the pipe itself shouldn't go bad. Yeah. And the fittings alone, like I said, expansion packs, hardly do you ever see those go bad. If it's like going bad is more so like...
Well, let's explain that a little bit. Like expansion, basically, you put a special ring on top of the PEX A pipe, which is a special type of poly piping, different than the PEX B. PEX B and PEX A are not interchangeable. Like you can't use PEX A fittings with PEX B piping. PEX B is PEX B, PEX A is PEX A. Now you can use the crimp rings from PEX B on PEX A, but basically just the fitting has barbs. So think of it like a sharp like arrow. And then once you expand this fitting and go on there, it almost permanently crimps to it and kind of gets sucked into those barbs. It's like, what's the best way to explain it?
Right.
It's
so like, for like visual purposes,
like a Chinese finger trap. Like you can't pull it out.
PEX B is just going to go like this. If this is the fitting, it's just going to go inside the pipe. And then you're going to put a ring around a certain, like the middle point of the fitting and just either crimp it on and just hold it on.
Like it's like a hose.
And it literally just goes like this and you could pull it out. If you didn't have the ring on it, you could just go like this. The expansion packs, you got to open the pipe like this. The pipe's going to open. The fitting itself is not the same diameter of, the inner diameter of the pipe. Right. It's much bigger. So that's why you have to expand the pipe. Then you're sticking it in there and the pipe closes on it. That alone right there, you can't pull that off. Water is going to leak from that if you didn't have a ring on it. But the ring is what seals it and everything like that and gives it like the extra firmness.
Even if the like fitting did fail, like it still has more bite to it to where it's not going to just burst. And
It's not. Yeah. You're going to have a small. You're going to have a small drip or a small leak. Like PEX B, same thing like poly. Let's say they use that 2-piece ring. That 2-piece ring snaps. The water pressure is going to push the fitting right out of the pipe. Expansion packs, like I said, you're opening the pipe, pushing something that's like almost.
The Chinese finger trap is
like 150% bigger
because it can't come out.
Yeah, it's not coming out.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's
the future, right?
There, education. Sure. Is there anything that I may have missed, or anything that you guys can think of that is?
I think we should touch base on water filtration. Back to that's a huge one as well.
Huge one. Nobody uses it,
especially if you have like plans to remodel. Let's say you're selling, a fixer upper, and the buyer is planning a full gut. I think one of the first things they should consider is a whole home water filtration system because they're investing all this money in these nice fixtures. One, it's going to protect your glass, your frameless glass in your showers. Yeah. It's going to keep cleaning easier. It's going to protect your fixtures because the hard water and all those minerals that are in the water, that's what's damaging your pipe.
Yeah, that's what you're cleaning when you're
your toilets,
cleaning.
The flappers, the parts inside, all the faucets, all that white stuff, your mirrors, everything. Your skin, your hair, your nails. Like water filtration is honestly like one of the most overlooked things in plumbing that I think.
The water is what kills all of the fixtures and the water quality down here is horrible. I have something, I'm looking for this picture that my technician sent. This is super cool. This is a great visual representation for.
The Las Olas one?
No, that's on another level, but this is on the inside of the pipes and this is night and day as well. That shows, here we go. So look at this. One of these pipes is filtered water. The other pipe is not. That's the inside of the PVC.
You see the color difference? And the scale and the buildup.
Yeah.
The water quality here, it's full of chlorine. It's every, city has different on how they, filter and clean
they have
water.
The bare minimum treatment, again.
Yeah.
It all comes
the absolute bare minimum. And they recommend to put a water filter on it. Not for nothing, people that come from up north know this. They have much softer water and everything like that.
It's a lot different.
Yeah.
Down here, you take a shower, you wash your hair, and your hair gets super dry, or you feel itchy.
You feel the difference when you're in places that
100%.
that have it.
Those places up north, they probably have different. They have different rules and regulations when it comes to the water filtration. One, the water's already coming naturally softer and nicer.
Correct.
And then
the water here,
they're adding whatever to it to actually filter it for human use and make it consumable. So it's getting kind of double effect rather than us here where we're hitting those same minimum standards, but we're coming from much rougher water.
You're getting heavy chlorine. There's in Las Olas, all the homes like in Las Olas, and you're talking millions of dollars of homes, where literally the toilets, the water quality, because they have tannins in the water quality is actually not that bad. But when they clean the water, they're like the byproduct is they're getting like yellow water. So you'll walk up to a toilet and it look like somebody already took a piss in.
Yeah.
And this is in $5 million home,
you know,
and it looks
yeah.
like all its lights have already been used.
The water when I was in Margate was yellowish. It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
You really
it's
only
not,
see it when
yeah.
you take a bath or the toilet.
It's
Oh
not-
yeah,
with
you
white
feel like I
porcelain.
filled up the bathtub
Yeah.
and it was always
it's
yellow.
scary.
It's
It
not
was
as
always
bad
yellow.
as Las Olas is,
Yeah.
but Las Olas is like it's like pure yellow, like it's
Yeah.
crazy. And
Yeah, we
but
had another
Margate,
one.
Margate is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Damien did a filter in Las Olas, and we filled it was a nice for freestanding tub, nice pure white. He filled it originally pure yellow water.
Yeah.
Disgusting. After he installed this filter and did the flush process and filled it back up, I
Looked
almost
like
didn't believe
Bora
it. Yeah, literally looked like
Yeah.
Bora Bora, just ice blue water. I was like, is that AI? And he's like, no, that's how it looks. It was the most beautiful water. I was
So
like, I wanna take a bath in
filtration
that.
systems,
Filtration
keeping that
is-
in
is
mind.
key. Yeah.
So those are things that they can help you guys out with as well. Thank you guys so much. We took a really long time, but it's
Yeah,
good.
it flew by actually.
See?
I thought we were just getting started.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to talk about, right? And you guys get passionate about it, which is
Absolutely.
awesome. So if you guys have any questions or have any, needs for work or anything resonated with you that you may want to chat with them about to have them help you out, where can they best reach you?
Anywhere, Google search Plumbing SFL, give you our phone number, 754-232-7614, Instagram, Facebook. Any way that you get in contact with people, you can get in contact with us.
Amazing.
We have
Awesome.
it all.
Great. So
one thing I want to touch
yeah.
on that is make sure it's Plumbing SFL, because there's a lot of imposters out there, and there is a lot of confusion, especially with the name SFL.
yeah.
Yeah, there's SFL Plumbing,
to a
there's
T.
SFL
South
Plumbing in
Florida
Backflow,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
South Florida Plumbing,
Yeah.
there's Plumbing South
SFL.
Florida.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are Plumbing SFL.
Jose
You'll
and
find-
Damian, that's who you're going to get with Plumbing SFL. Everyone else, ask who you're talking to before you go ahead and make an appointment with them.
Amazing. So thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for helping share some knowledge. If you guys resonated with anything on this show, please like, share, subscribe. Just want to make sure we're getting out the information. So share it with a friend, put it on your social. Everyone could use this. It's stuff that's beneficial. We want to make sure that you guys are making the right decisions and have the right information to do so. So thank you guys all out there for joining me again on this show. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Summer's a gift. The gift of days that last a little longer. A brighter state of mind. So gift yourself a new Kia at the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. With specially tagged vehicles including the Sorento, Sportage, Carnival, as well as the Niro Hybrid. All backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. So the gift of summer can keep on giving for summers to come. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Event ends 7/6/26. See dealer for warranty details.